Hi and welcome back to another video of jPlay. I am Marcus and today I want to lead you to the world of Queensdale in the Rise of Queensdale, and I think this is by far the biggest box I have from Ravensburger, and I think it's only the first legacy game that I'm demoing on my channel, so basically 2 times a premiere. I'm not quite sure how I want to do this. Maybe I will do a full playthrough of the very first chapter, but I really want to make sure not to spoil too many things in my video. But yeah, let's unpack it and see how it goes.
And yeah, that's the main board in its full beauty, and I really have some serious space problems with this game. I can only show you the 2-player game. Every other inch of my table has been occupied by those building tiles up there, the action board, the overview board, and last but not least, the player boards here. Unfortunately, I only have the German version of the game, so I may be using some incorrect terms in respect to some of the game components here. I also have to translate some of the cards if they ever show up. The majority of this game though is pretty much language independent. Only when, let's say, something in the story happens, and this happens a lot actually, you have to do some reading in your language apparently. But I think in this very first mission this shouldn't happen too often, and this is what I will focus on. Again, I will not spoil the experience. I will really focus on the core mechanics, and yeah, will not show you too many of the, let's say, story elements of this game. Of course, this game comes with an introductory text which I will not translate to you on the fly, but there is a snippet on BGG which I will quickly read to you, and this pretty much explains what's going on here. Build me a castle, build me a city worthy of my queen. Your queen's wish is your command, so you decide to travel into the valley of Queensdale, collect raw materials, build buildings, and take fate into your own hands. Fame and fortune are sure to be yours, if only there weren't those other glory seekers who also follow the king's wishes. Act with courage and wisdom, and remember that your decisions will have consequences. So actually the queen isn't well. King Nepomuk II wants her to feel better, so yeah, he's giving us the task to build this city of Queensdale here. Unfortunately, I had to reset the game. Apparently, I was already playing this with my wife, and yeah, she really wants to play it again, so I have to record it pretty quickly now. So I reset everything as much as I could, and I kept everything else. So for example, I'm the schemer here, coming from the scheming family. It doesn't really have an immediate game effect, but there are some cards in the game which may or may not have some relevance from which family you are coming from. And my beautiful wife, playing as the red player here, comes from a family of traders, which is depicted here. And again, this could also impact some of the cards as they may show up, but I'm pretty sure this will not happen in this very first round of the game. My wife starts down here, so she has one tent and she has her scout right now waiting for her. You can place your tent basically where you want it to be, but of course you want to keep it, let's say, somewhat close to those herbs this tent relates to, because you will send out your scout and you are allowed to take those herbs that match your tents. Later on you will be able to build more of those tents, but for now you will only start with one. And up here is my camp pretty much. So here's my scout. I decided to put my tent onto this herb here. So I have one right next to my scout or explorer. Here's another one, but then I already have to start traveling around the board in order to find more. Of course, I could also decide to build another tent in order to gain some of the additional herbs. In the first chapter of the game, we both try to gain 10 victory points here, or is it fame points? It's pretty much victory points. So whoever makes it here will end the game. Of course, you will play the round until the bitter end, and basically both of the player could make it, but very often it happens that only one will ever be able to make it. And here's a pretty cool catch-up mechanism, because the player who makes it into level 2 has to achieve 16 points, for example, whereas the other player, as long as he or she did not make her first goal, still has to do only 10 points. So the next round, even though maybe I would have lost it, I would definitely have a good chance to win the second round, because I only need to gain 10 points, whereas my wife would have to acquire 16 points. But of course, a lot of things changes as well. So you gain a different amount of victory points for each of the things you're doing. So throughout the game, you will kind of replace this scoring board here. This will tell you how many victory points you need and how many victory points you get for each of those actions. This will also change. So the more you progress, the more you gain victory points for the things you're doing, like for example, building new buildings. But I think without further ado, I will start the game here again. I will explain all the rules as I go. The first thing that you always do in a given round is to roll all of your action dice. Of course, this is true for all of the players. We do that simultaneously. So let's do that real quick. And through the magic of editing, this dice tower appeared here. So those are the actions that I have available for this round. But of course, keep in mind, there are a lot of ways in order to manipulate those dice later on. Let's do the same for my wife, Unita here. Okay, she rolled this. That's not bad. She has 3 actions, or real action in this case. But again, keep in mind, you can do a lot of things in order to alter the faces of those dice. And yeah, then we really can get started into the round. I will be the starting player, and I really only did that because of the editing. I wanted to keep those character board next to the camps in order not to get confused in the end. So now we can really start using our action dice here. And this is where the action board comes into the picture. Normally you can only place, let's say, dice that show this A value, A for action. Does make sense, right? But there are ways in order to transform other dice into an action dice as well. So for example, in order to change this die or this face that shows a coin right now into an action die, you could spend simply 1 coin. The same is true for this brick here, for example. Right now I'm still okay, and most definitely I want to place this onto this space, and this now allows me to move my scout up to 4 spaces on the board. How cool is that? Because the next player to go here only can move his scout 2 spaces, so that's always a pretty good choice to go there, especially at the start of any given game round. So let's have a look at our tent here again. We built this tent on this herb, which means our scout will be able to flip and take the herb tiles here that matches my tents. If I have later on more tents, so let's say I also build a tent on this herb space here, I would also be allowed to take this herb here. Right now we are at the start of the game, so this is not possible. So let's move our scout accordingly. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I can move through. That's totally fine. I'm still allowed to take both of those. Okay, awesome. How cool is that? Okay, that's our first victory point. Hooray, without doing anything for it. And for this second herb, we are gaining 1 stone. But let's start with the cool part. So we get 1 victory point, and right now this really seems to be very powerful. But again, the more you advance in your chapters and in your levels, pretty much 1 victory point is nothing in the end. So later on you can still use those herbs for some extra building material, but really relying solely on them to win the game in later stages of the game, definitely not a good idea. Of course, we still get 1 stone, which we can really use pretty well in order to build some of those cool buildings up here, which is pretty much the main way to score some victory points. Here for a building you gain 2 victory points, for a tent you gain 1 victory point, and whenever you're reaching this, I think, trumpet here, you also gain 1 victory point as well. And this is being triggered by this mood track here, so whenever you're reaching this fanfare space here, you are scoring that many victory points. That's printed on your current goal card or mission card here, for example. In this case, that's 1 VP. Of course, we will remove those herb tokens here, and then it's over to my wife. And I think for now she will go for some bread, because bread is something you can use for various things in this game. For example, you can use bread in order to increase your mood. For example, you can also use gold and bread to draw one of those guys out of the bag. This is something I will show you in a second as well, I guess. But for now, let's simply grab 1 piece of bread here and put it next to her character board. And that's already the end of her turn, was at the end of my turn. So you see, this game really moves fast. I think it's not a bad idea to go for some gold. Actually, I really would like to have wood, but none of my dice is showing any woods. Keep in mind, I could give up any one of my resources, including gold, to re-roll any number of dice. So for 1 piece of gold, I would be able to re-roll all of my dice. But I think for now that's not necessary. Again, we are still in turn 1 or round 1 right now, so it doesn't really hurt. So let's spend this die here. And yeah, as you would have guessed correctly, this simply gives us 1 piece of coin. over to my wife, and I guess she wants to go for a follower, so she will place her die here accordingly. Therefore she has to spend 1 bread and 1 piece of gold. Not a problem for her. Then she's allowed to get 1 grab out of this huge bag. Of course this is pre-populated, this can also change throughout the game, other figures are being added and whatnot. And here we found our first Gleeman, and Gleemans are pretty cool. You can spend those anytime during your turn in order to move your loot up to spaces. So this would bring her to this symbol here, which means all of her pink production building would now produce. Right now she doesn't have any production building, so yeah, for now she's not going to spend those, but it's good for her that she knows she has. So she now really has a driver to build at least 1 or 2 of those production buildings, yeah, in order to make those count. Over to me, and I think I want to go for some clay or bricks here. Of course you can use this to build stuff. Those are the spaces that are available for a 2-player game. There are also some spaces for more than 2 players. I use some stickers in order to hide those other spaces. And yeah, this space comes with a bonus. Normally those things provide you 1 piece of the according resource, but yeah, you guessed it right, this gives you 2. So of course let's go here. I know that my wife doesn't have this die yet, at least, but I'm still want to make sure I gain those 2 clay or brick resources. Let's go for some gold for red 2, so that's easy, and there are no bonus spaces on those gold resources here, as you can see. And I think now it's time that I want to re-roll those 2 dice. So I will spend 1 clay or gold. No, let's go for gold for now. You can use clay to build stuff, and again this allows me to re-roll all of my dice if I want to, only some of them. Okay, that's another piece of gold. That was not what I expected, to be honest. That's really disappointing. Gold is never bad, but I spent a gold to gain a gold. This doesn't really help. And the action space is also something I don't want. So I think I want to do that again. I'm allowed to do that as many times as I want, or as I have resources. And again, I'm back to where I've started. Yeah, me and rolling dice. Okay, so I think I will stop it now. I spent 2 pieces of gold, which is really insane, to be honest. So yeah, let's simply go for the clay. I will place it here off camera. You already know the drill, and this gives me 3 pieces of clay. And again, I could use this clay later on pretty well, to be honest. And then it's already looking pretty crowded already. Of course, she could build, she could go for another follower, but unfortunately doesn't have the building resources or bread or whatnot, so not quite sure if she wants to do something here. You see those empty spaces here, those are all part of the legacy mechanic of this game. So when you unlock certain cards or read certain cards which will tell you, hey, take out sticker 49 something, then you put it here accordingly and open up another set of options for you. So I think in this case, I think she still wants to go for this action here, and this gives her simply 1 piece of gold. Again, something she could use later on. We are right now still in turn 1 pretty much, or in round 1 of this first chapter, so definitely still a lot going on later on. And this piece of gold was the only meaningful action for me, to be honest. Of course she was able to see that too, so I think I have to re-roll again. Wow, that's the 3rd piece of gold. I think normally I would never have done that. So yeah, but let's really hope at least for some resources. Not an A, everything but an A, and I'm okay. And that's a piece of stone. And wow, this is bad news for her, because that's the action die she has left, and she was hoping for the bonus. But yeah, I will certainly go there first and grab myself 2 pieces of stone. Okay, that was pretty good, but keep in mind, all this re-rolling really cost me a lot of gold pieces, and I'm pretty sure this will fire back at some point in time. Then it's her last die, and she's really furious right now, so but she will take it anyway. I think she will not gamble and spend resources. I think getting 1 piece of stone is still something. So let's place it accordingly and give her 1 piece of stone. And that's already the end of round 1, so we will pass the starting player marker, so she will go next. Then we will take back all of our action dice and we'll roll those accordingly. So this is what she has available. Wow, wood. She was really hoping for some wood. So right now that's pretty cool. 3 action dice could be useful too, but maybe she also has to reroll. But let's wait. What I will roll here. Okay, more stone and some more stone and some actions. Okay, this will be a pretty stony round for me. I'm pretty sure I have to re-roll again. Not sure what I want to do with that many stone symbols, but of course Janita will go first. And I guess this time she wants to move her scout first. She could go for the wood, but right now I don't have any wood, and I think she's gambling right now and hoping that I'm not getting any wood results, at least not anytime soon. So let's move her scout accordingly. I can start on any of those adjacent spaces here, and her tent is right now on this here. I think this should be possible. 1, 2, 3, 4. Perfect. 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. Here she gets 1 piece of wood. That's not bad. She will take it, and here she gains 1 victory point. Hey, how cool is that? So we are both at 1 victory point out of 10. Then it's me, and I will totally go for 1 piece of bread. My plan is really to go for some followers later on. And then of course she will go for the bonus wood here. So she will gain 1 and 1 more. This brings her to 3 pieces of wood altogether, which is then enough to build another tent later on, and this also grants her 1 extra victory point. Awesome. Before I do anything else, I think I want to place my action die here. This gives me yet another 2 stones, and keep in mind I can use those resources to re-roll my dice, so I don't have to spend gold. In this case really I can easily spend 1 stone or 2 in order to re-roll some of my dice later on. And then it's time to build a second tent. So she will spend all 3 of her wood. This gives her 1 additional tent. So let's see where we want to place this. And as we are next to those pinkish ones here as well, I think I want to place the tent here. So in theory, here is 1 I can harvest, here are 2 I can harvest, so I can send, or she can send the explorer pretty much this way here, and yeah, opens up 3 additional herb tokens, and again, those are really helpful. But as she builds another tent, she also gains 1 additional victory point, 2 out of 10. Over to me, and I think again it's time to re-roll some dice. This time I want to spend 1 stone. I want to hold on to this action marker here, but I want to roll at least 1 piece of wood. Then I could build something as well. And yeah, awesome. Okay, I think I will keep it for now. Let's spend this die to grab 1 piece of wood. How cool is that? And before I do something stupid, I think she wants to go here and move her scout 2 more spaces. So in theory I could move here, but I think I want to really take this route here and then maybe move to the other board. And this is really something that you have to keep in mind. You are not limited to your quarter of the board. So you all these bridges here, which you can use to pass over to another realm and grab some of those herb tiles there too. But for now, let's move her explorer 1, 2 spaces here. And wow! That's insane. She gains another victory point. Awesome. Again, keep in mind that only really feels kind of imbalanced during, let's say, the first 1 or 2 chapters. Later on, 1 victory point is not really game changing, but it really helps speeding up, let's say, the early chapters of the game. Before I build something, I think I want to go for a follower. So I will spend this die, 1 gold, my last piece of gold, and 1 bread. And again, this will allow me to grab a follower from the bag. What did we get? Awesome, that's a courier. Cool. Okay, I will be able to spoil some of the events that are going to happen. Awesome. But I can also use the courier later on for a wild card. So this courier could be a gleeman or a craftsman later on. And for now I will simply keep it, but I will have to go for one of those cards. And those courier cards are pretty much reused for every game session. You shuffle them, you draw the cards, so a lot of them will show up, let's say, more often than others, but definitely adds a lot of flavor and theme to the game. So let's see what we got here. And okay, that's a pretty nasty one, as the king is now ordering his master builder Tilo to really grab more and more resources in order to finish the court of Queensdale here, so that really Queen Margaret will get better relatively soon. Right, we are doing now, we will place those courier tokens on each of those resource spaces, which means that as long as this card is active, we have one fewer resource spaces for all of the resources. Though here is for gold, for wood, and of course we do the same for clay and stone later on. And I think we really have to wait either for the next game or until the next courier card will show up. Wow, that's a blow, especially here, because that was her last remaining die and she was really going for some wood here. You can always use wood. Tough. But this also means, yeah, she has to re-roll her die, because in theory she could spend one piece of wood in order to transform this die into an A. I think I already explained this, but she doesn't have a piece of wood. So yeah, for now she will spend one coin in order to re-roll her die. That's another action space. Can she do something with that? Yeah, she could get back her piece of gold now. Does she want to spend more gold, or is she fine? No, I think she will do the same. She will spend one more piece of gold. Pretty sure that's a stupid idea. And that's one piece of stone. Yeah, that's something she can play, so let's do that. And yeah, this gives her one piece of stone. This is the last action form of this round 2 for me, so I think I want to build a building, and I think I want to go for a production building, and I'm right now debating if I want to go for bread or for wood in this case. And there's only one action space for bread, but you can only use it that much. And I think, no, let's go for some wood. In theory, I would have to pay 1 wood, 2 stone and 3 clay or brick in this case, but I will use my courier here, and I can use it as a wild card, and I will transform this courier into a craftsman who helps me to reduce the resource cost of a building by 2. I can choose any 2 of those, and I think in this case I want to go for reducing the piece of wood and maybe 1 piece of clay for now, which means I pay 2 clay, 2 pieces of stone only, and no wood. And now the coolest element of this game comes, is this guy here, which allows me to take out this building, and now I get to choose where to place it. I have 4 construction sites right now that are available, not more. I think this may change throughout the game, but for now those are all the buildings I can build, and it doesn't really matter which one. Let's go for this one, and that's so cool. And yeah, I will build it here. And as I already mentioned, those production buildings only trigger when my loot passes one of those pink spaces here on the moral or mood track here. So I need 2 spaces in order to trigger all of my pink production buildings. Okay, that's the end of round 2, and I think I will call it for today. I will definitely record a second episode playing through some more rounds, maybe really play to the bitter end until at least one of the players is able to reach 10 victory points. This would then kind of level him up to level 2. So I really want to show you what will happen at the end of a game, what you can do in order to prepare for the second game, how you can tweak those dice, things like that. But keep in mind, I really want to keep the spoilers to a minimum here. I really hope you enjoyed my Let's Play of the Rise of Queensdale so far, and hope to see you soon in one of my next videos. And yeah, until then, bye bye.